And it's another Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at Quick Fix Golf. QuickFixGolf.com is where you just go and look at the menu up top where it says free Quick Fix. Look for the online class. It's a free. It's the one that opens on Wednesday nights. Anybody can go. Other ones we have are for members only. And we're glad to have you. And we're going to talk about, we talk about different things. Last week was really good. One at Darren was about DeChambeau.
Yeah, the Bryson of the Chambeau family.
And this is Darren DeMailey. Darren DeMailey was a 7-year veteran of the Jack Nicklaus Bears Club as an instructor. He's worked with Martin Hall. He's worked with, who else did you work with? Was it Santa Claus? Who else was it that you?
Santa and Mickey Mouse. And yeah, you should see Mickey's golf swing. It's pretty darn good. Very proud of that.
Well, the one thing you want to do is to have either me and Darren look at your swing. All you got to do is get out your cell phone, video your swing, load it up on our site, and we'll do a complete analysis. If it's your first time, it's absolutely free. Let you try one, see how you like it. All right. So, Darren, tonight's thing is what, swing playing, correct?
Swing playing. It's a complicated topic. We're going to make it as simple as possible tonight. Even you'll understand this, Bobby.
I know. I saw that in the email. That was very funny. I'll get even with you on that one.
Can you spell plain? Spell it for us.
Plain.
There you go. Exactly. We'll make it real easy for you.
Okay, let me pass this thing over to you here. Let me see screen.
Remember how to do that?
Oh no. No
All right,
screen.
go to screen. Remember the screen button?
I'm on the screen button. Where did it change? Yo, change presenter. There it is.
There it is.
Double D.
You'd think by now you'd figure this out, but
You said you would not be able to understand it, so go ahead. You're making this easy tonight. Because RV1.
All right, fantastic. Okay.
The plane.
All right, we good to go? We can see this? Yes? No?
Yeah, if you click the little box up to the right, it'll take up the whole screen for you. Anybody who's watching. This better be good. We'll be eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the next month.
Yep. All right, can we see this? Can we see Iron Byron here?
I thought it was my mother-in-law. Looks just like her.
All right, enough of those jokes. We're going to get in trouble for those.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, well, that'd be good. I like trouble.
So this is Iron Byron. I'm not really sure who invented this. Do you know where this came from, Bobby?
Well, this was not Iron Byron. Iron Byron is an earlier version. But it's the same thing.
It's similar, right?
Yeah, it's very similar. This one's a little more portable.
And so here's a machine that they use to kind of test golf clubs, to do some things, to look at ball flight. And it's a very, very simple strategy here. And the idea is that the golf club is going to be in one of two places. It's either going to be in line with the golf ball as you see it here, or it's going to be parallel to the target line. And that's going to give you your best chance to do three things. All right, so pay attention to this. Three things. Hit the ground in the right spot, write these down, hit the ball in the middle of the face, and hit the ball in the right direction. Okay? Now, nobody really on tour does this. There really isn't anyone who does this. There's a few players that we're going to look at that come close, but nobody on tour that does this. So don't try to do this yourself. It's not going to happen, right? Lots of players do different things. The idea is to get to the golf ball the right way.
Yeah, if they swung like Jim Furyk, this machine would have smoke coming out of it.
It'd have smoke coming on. So don't try it.
Le sale humo. That's for Harry back there. Just go ahead.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
But with Iron Byron, he's, this is a robot hitting a golf ball, and you can see how the robot swings up and down what we call the plane line. And the plane line is just basically the angle that the golf club is designed at. So right at impact here, this is the angle that the golf club is designed at. That's what we call the plane line. Okay, once again, 3 things. Hitting the ball in the middle of the face, hitting the ground in the right spot, hitting the ball in the right direction. That's why you want to swing the golf club on plane. Once again, nobody does this. People do it different ways. But if you wanted your best chance to hit a straight shot, this is what you would do. Up and down the plane line. So here's what plane is defined as. If the golf club is pointing at the target line, here's our target line, or thereabout. So the golf club is pointing at it, coming down through the hit, up on the other side, pointing at the target line. Here it's pointing down with the butt of the golf club. As it comes down, same thing, point at the target line. And then the other place that we would define plane is when it's parallel to the target line. Same thing there. Hold on, that's a bad line there.
I was just going to say.
So that's the other place that we would check the plane of the golf club. 2 places, where the golf club's pointing at the target line or it's parallel to the target line. Very, very simple. So everyone at home that wants to swing the golf club on plane, that wants to hit a really straight golf shot, this is a really important thing for you to understand. Understanding what the plane is. It's the angle the golf club is designed at. Maintaining that angle or being parallel to it. All right, does that make sense so far?
Meaning the lie angle of you're saying the lie angle of the golf club.
The lie angle of the golf club. Yeah, like I said, nobody really does that. Bryson DeChambeau comes close. Let's take a look at a couple of players. So here's Bryson. We talked about him last week. There's the angle the golf club's designed at. Swinging it up the plane line and then straight down it.
Well, he's not doing that anymore.
No, he's not. You're right. We talked about this last week. He's a little bit under the plane coming down now because of all the speed. That's kind of the concept that he's tried to always swing the golf club around. It's a concept that came about from a book called The Golfing Machine with Homer Kelly wrote that. And it's a very complicated book, but like I said, the way we can take away a few things to simplify it, if the golf club is pointing at the golf ball or the target line, or it's parallel to it, right? Here's a place where it's parallel, right? Here's his target line. There's his golf club, parallel. So that club would be on plane there. Same thing at the top. Same thing into the ball. Same thing through impact. Same thing into the finish. That's the swing plane ABCs. Hitting the golf ball in the center of the face, hitting the ground in the same spot, hitting the ball in the right direction. So let's take a look at a few players, modern day players who come close that are not kind of golfing machine people. Bryson DeChambeau, Bryson of the Chambeau family. So let me give Bobby a guess here. Who would you think would be the closest to Bryson of the modern day players? And I know you don't watch much golf, but who would you think? What would be your guess? You got a guess?
Well, somebody who swings it similar to what he's doing and swinging on plane.
Right. Who's backing through on the same plane?
David Toms.
Okay. So anybody else have another guess?
Hold on, somebody keeps turning on their microphone.
Darren, I say Kuchar.
Figure it out.
Kuchar.
Kuchar's a loser. Not even close. Any other guesses?
Rose?
Sergio Garcia.
Definitely not.
Thomas.
Nope.
Thomas.
Nope. Good guess. Is it good guesses? Nobody else?
No, the
No one's
microphones are all
going
turned off.
Yes, Hoffman.
I'd say
Well,
John
Charlie
Ron.
Hoffman's not a bad guess. Yeah, Charlie Hoffman's pretty close. I like that guess.
How about Oosthuizen?
Who's tasing now?
Adam Scott.
Adam
How about
Scott's-
Rory?
No,
Rory.
No, Rory definitely not.
How about Bob Farmer?
Spieth.
Speed, no.
It looks like John Ron.
How
How about
Tiger?
Charles Barkley?
Charles
Barkley.
How about Speed?
How about
No, not
Mickelson?
Speed.
Mickelson.
Mickelson, no.
No.
Listen.
Come on, now
What
nobody's
about
even
Tiger?
close here.
What about Tiger Woods?
Tiger Woods, no, definitely not. Nobody
Mo
else?
Norman. Mo Norman.
You can't count Mo Norman here because he's the Bryson DeChambeau here, so you can't count him. All right, we ready for the correct answer?
Go ahead. At least you think it's the correct answer.
Well, no, I don't think it is. I know it is.
Who is
Do you
it?
think
Lisa
I do
Reno?
this? Do you think I do this as a guest? Do you think I do this every week without any thought that goes into it?
Yep.
You're wrong. So here's Kevin Kisner. He's about as close as you're going to get to swinging that golf club on the same plane. You know, I'm surprised nobody said Ben Hogan. I mean, Ben Hogan was pretty close, but if you watch Kisner here swinging the club back, this camera's just a smidge right here at the beginning, just a smidge off. But here's Kisner going back. And if we look at him right here, so one of the things that when I was working at the Bears Club, Gary Nicklaus would work on with Rick Smith. And if you remember who Rick Smith was a pretty prominent teacher for a while in the late 90s, early 2000s. This is what they were working on. They were working at bringing the golf club back on plane. Once again, what is on plane? Well, it's either parallel to the target line or pointing down to the target line. So you can see it there on the way back and then on the way down. And if you look at Kisner here, it does not get any better than that. Now, why is Kisner not winning more golf tournaments? That's a darn good question. I don't have the answer to that. Maybe if we looked at kind of some of the statistics, maybe he doesn't hit it far enough. I don't know.
Maybe he's a sissy.
I don't know about that. You know, he's a dipper, so he's spitting everywhere on the green. So
Oh, he's a dipper.
he's a dipper.
The Big Dipper?
Well, speaking of Big Dipper, you know, there's a big comet out there tonight. Anybody going to look at the comet?
Oh, yeah. There you go. There goes the all crowd. Everybody's going off now because they're going to go see
Let's
the freaking comet. That's the end of this presentation. Great idea. You're thinking good here. No, but you're right. The guy has it pointed right at the ball. I don't even know who this is.
It's Kevin Kisner. Are
Who's
you
Kevin
listening?
Kisner?
He's a player that you see on TV once in a while. He's won a few tournaments. He's a I think he's an Aiken boy. I think he's from Georgia.
Is he?
He is, yep. But with all my research, he's the man that comes as close as it gets to swinging that golf club up and down the plane.
Look how much hinge he has in his right hand.
This is true. So if we take a look at, watch this. So he's got a lot of down cock there, Bobby. So if we look at the shaft here, and we draw a line or draw a little circle on his hands, and we look at where that shaft matches up on the downswing, that's a huge difference from where his hands are. Okay, so Gary Nicklaus and Rick Smith would not like this, because what do you think this means, Bobby?
You're going to have to be quick down at the bottom or you're going to bail it to the right.
Got to be quick at the bottom, right? So that could be one of the reasons why Kisner is inconsistent because he's got so much downcock there.
Oh.
Right, so makes sense. Oh yeah, now right now it's light, right? So Nicklaus and once again Gary Nicklaus and Rick Smith would want these hands in the shaft to match up in the same place.
I just thought of something funny to say, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, we want to post this on YouTube. We want people to learn. We don't want to get.
Go ahead.
We don't want to get yelled at. But the swing plane can be a very complicated thing, and we need to make it real simple as to what is it. Like I said, there's three things that are involved: hitting the ball in the middle of the face, hitting the ground in the right spot, and hitting the ball in the right direction. And if we can do that, we're going to eliminate a lot of variables. And this is how we do it. We come extremely close, or as close as we can, to swinging that golf club at the angle it's designed at. There's Kisner.
Look at the bow and the shaft.
Yep. There he is at impact. Right? Let me switch colors. Here's where he was at address. And as close as you can get to matching those up, the straighter, the more consistent that you're going to be. Nobody does that, like I said. But that's what swing plane is, and that's why we want to do it. Okay, so you got a guy like Matthew Wolf or Jim Furyk, right? So let's look at Furyk.
Want to get dizzy.
Exactly right.
Do you have Wolfie in there?
You look at a guy like Furyk, and the golf club's traveling 16 different ways. Now, does he get to the golf ball the right way? Absolutely, he does. There's no doubt. He gets to the golf club on a really good plane. But going back, and he has to reroute it coming down. So there's definitely an argument there that would be a more of an inconsistent way to do it. The easiest way to do it is go back and up and down the plane. That would be the easiest way to do it. He does it a different way. Look at it like an Arnold Palmer. Let's take a look at Arnold Palmer. The complete opposite of Furyk. Palmer brings it to the inside. He brings it inside and then comes over it. Completely different plane coming down. Not going up and down the same plane. Palmer, how can you argue with his record? You can't. I think there's a ton of players that do it the opposite way. There's probably 95 out of 100 that do it Furyk's way as opposed to Arnold Palmer's way. So I'm not a big fan of this type of move, although it works. Sam Snead, a couple other players. There's lots of people who argue the Arnold Palmer style of swinging, that it doesn't matter. All that matters is coming into the golf ball. But most people do it the Furyk way, and very few do it the Kisner or Bryson DeChambeau way. It's very, very rare that you do it that way, or even Hogan to some degree.
Darren, can you show Hogan? Darren, can you show Hogan?
I don't have any good videos of Hogan. I really don't. I wish I did. I mean, this is the best one that I have, but so if you look at the shaft here, roughly there, and he's right back down on it. This is not a great camera angle, but it definitely shows that he's kind of on that plane that we talk about. Once again, what is the plane? Well, its target line is the shaft pointing at it, or is it parallel to it? One of the two. That's your best chance to play this game. All right, we got any questions here?
Yeah, we'll open up the microphones here. Let me see. Who's got a question?
From reading Hogan's book, he said that his downward plane was different than his back plane.
I'm sorry, what was that?
He said that Hogan said his backward plane was different than the downward plane. Well, of course.
Yeah, and I think that's what most people are. Like I said, I don't think there's anybody that does it up and down the plane. I don't think there is. To me, shallowing, here's what I mean about shallowing. To me, the best golf swing in the books is this one right here. If I had this golf swing, my goodness, I wouldn't be with you guys tonight. This is Lydia Ko. And she picks it up, gets the club up, and then drops it under. That's to me how you play this game. You got a shaft coming underneath, and on the way back, it's steeper. And Bobby, I know you agree with me on this.
Well, it's a lot easier to melt down to the plane than it is to come out from underneath, like Bruce Litsky did.
Yes.
It's not impossible. Sam Snead did it. But, in today's world, it'd be awfully tough to do because there's so much emphasis on distance. And you're just not going to get the same amount of distance because you're not going to get the same amount of whiplash, from
Exactly.
And that's the thing. Who was that first guy we saw?
Kevin Kisner.
Kevin Kidler. I was going to say the same thing about DeChambeau we talked about last week. You said he hit 60% of his fairways, but that's not that great. And part of that might be that he's getting a lot more wrist cock on the way down, so he's a little, it's not quite as accurate as he used to be.
Yep.
Sure, he hits it further, but I mean, it pays to be on the short grass somewhere.
No, it does.
What about Chella Choi? It's one of the straightest on the ladies.
Who's that?
Chella Choi.
Albie, I don't know who she is, man.
I ordered that for lunch the other day.
Yeah, right. She's one of Bender's pupils.
Okay.
Beautiful swing, like Zach Johnson. It's like their images exactly the same. They're on plane.
Well, Zach Johnson is not. So if we pull up Zach Johnson, and I will show you, what I mean by that. Zach Johnson is way under the plane coming down. So here's his plane going back. That's bad in the line. Hold on. Here's his backswing plane, which is pretty good. Goes back up the plane perfectly. And if we bring it down to impact, and then we draw a line at impact, you can see how underneath the plane he is. So he's very much in to out with his plane. He's not on plane at all. And that's why he hits a big old draw.
Yeah, with a big knuckle grip or whatever.
Yep, exactly. So, everybody's got a tendency, if you want to call it that way, of, if this is the street that you're playing in, people are either left side or right side. Nobody plays down the middle of the street. It's a very difficult way to play the game. And elite athletes know that. They know they're going to play on the left side of the street or the right side of the street. And, swinging the club exactly down the correct plane back and through means you play here, and nobody plays the game straight. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, Demerit always told me, he says, either hit it left to right or right to left, but do one or the other. And I did both. I did right to left with the driver and left to right with the irons.
And that's, we go back to Bobby. Remember we had the coach from South Carolina, Columbia. What did he say about his students? He taught his students to draw their irons and fade their drivers, right? He thought there was a lot of value in drawing an iron and fading a driver.
But did the opposite?
No. It was fading the driver and drawing the irons because he wanted the irons to come in from a shallower path. He thought most of his students or his players came in too shallow with their irons.
You're talking about Bill McDonald.
Yes, Bill McDonald. Yep.
Oh, yeah. The head coach of this, we had him on, the head coach from the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Gamecocks, yep. So there's nothing to say that you can't do both. You can't go one way or the other. I mean, most people just need to have a one thought mentality. But
well, to me, it was my irons. I always had a very open stance, so I felt like I could be more accurate. But then with a driver, I'd shut the stance some and spin it over because I wanted to get the extra distance.
No, I mean, I agree with you, Bobby. And with an iron, you're using the ground. You can use the ground as an advantage. You can use it. You can trap an iron against the ground. With the driver, you don't want to hit the ground, so you can use the driver the opposite way. So, you know, there's definitely an argument to fade your irons because you can use the ground to trap it against. And then with your driver, you can just let it flip and you can hit draws with your driver. So, you know, I don't know if I'd necessarily agree with Bill McDonald, but there's an argument both ways.
Any other questions?
So would you say Kisner's way is more of a single plane?
It is, yeah, Joe. It's very close. It's as close as you're going to get. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But as I showed you, some of his inconsistencies could definitely be because of how much downcock he has in the swing, and you know, downcock in the swing eventually leads to inconsistencies. And let me just show you what downcock is one more time for those of you who don't know what the downcock in the swing is. Here's what downcock is. Downcock is the relationship between, let's say, this position in the swing with the left arm in the shaft on the way back to where the hands get on the way down and where the left arm is there. So you can see that there's a bigger angle there. That would be downcock. So the more downcock you have there, the more speed you can create, but the less consistent that you're going to be. Does that make sense?
That's what's hurt Sergio.
Exactly.
But everybody wanted to copy him. Everybody wanted to have that lag or lag this, lag that.
I thought that was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
So that's not something you recommend for us amateurs.
I wouldn't say that, Joe. I mean, there's definitely a time and place for everything. It just depends on what your big tendency is, and that's what we always preach here at Quick Fix Golf. We want to know what your big tendency is, and we're going to work against it. So for some people, they need downcock. Some people don't need downcock. It just depends on who you are and what you got going on. There's no same fix for everyone.
Yeah, too many people try to do too much of it. You're trying to hold the angle, and then they end up starting to shank. You know, they'll start shanking shots and bailing shots out to the right, hitting balls in the neck and everything. You just, you know, they overdo it. You got to square the club face up. I mean, one way or the other.
Yep.
That's the bottom line.
Can you have too little? Because Steve Stricker looks like he has hardly any.
Absolutely, Bob. You can definitely have too little. You know, if we take a look at Stricker, you're absolutely right. Too little. All right, come on now. Jeez.
That you're making fun of me again.
Look at Stricker. He's hitting a little pitch shot here, but for the most part, this is what he's got going on in his swing here. It's very little hinge. Uh-oh. Hold on. All right, so this is very consistent with his full swing, just like I showed you with Jack. There's not much deviation between the left arm and the shaft.
So how does he generate speed like that?
He doesn't. He doesn't. He's one of the shorter hitters on tour.
Okay.
But he's got a great short game. He's an incredible putter. Everybody who's looking for some putting tips goes straight to him. But is that a formula for success? I mean, obviously he's made it long enough where he's made a great career. But I think currently, with the way players are nowadays, I don't think he's got a chance. If you got a player like Stricker that's starting to play the tour nowadays, they got no chance.
So how much Hancock do you actually want?
You want as much as you can get. So
Okay.
typically, let's go back to Bryson from last week. No, let's look at how about Brooke Henderson? Let's look at Brooke Henderson. She's probably got the most of anybody that I've seen, men or women. All right, so there's Brooke at the top. Are we familiar with her? And there's her wrist set. So this angle in here, it's very, very small. I think she's got the most of anybody that I've seen. Now, I could be wrong. We need to probably call John Sinclair, and who's got measurements of all this, but this would be my observation, that she's got the smallest angle of anybody that I've ever seen.
John Daly.
Yeah, John Daly isn't even close to this. So this would be Brooke at 90, right? So she's at about 45 degrees with what we call kind of radial deviation there. I don't know if you can. John Sinclair, I want to say he said there was the most at 30, if I remember right. We had him on a couple months ago. I want to say 30 was what he said was the most radial deviation or wrist hinge. But I think Brooke does a little more. I don't think he's got Brooke on measurement, but I'd say she's got the most.
No, Daly's got a lot too. It's awfully close.
What'd you say?
I said Daly has an awful lot too. It's awfully close.
No, you're not even. I don't think so. Hold on.
Oh no.
No.
You got that same one I got of him?
No, I got a different one. But I can appreciate that. But John is not even close to Brooke. This is a face or behind a down the line view, but.
He's got a neater pants. See?
Look at that. Oh, that's a lot more.
Yep. But, Brooke is, to me, she's got the most at least. But I could be wrong. It's just kind of my observations.
Yeah, he was long driver on tour for like about 5 years. He should have made an absolute fortune.
Who's that?
Daly was long driver on the tour for like 5 years in a row.
Well, he won a couple majors, and he was close in a couple other ones. I think he finished second in 2 majors, if I'm not mistaken. But that's not too bad for that guy. I mean, that guy, his mentality was not the best, but he's got a good career.
He's having fun.
Yeah, exactly. He had fun, that's for sure.
Any other questions? We'll call it a wrap.
Well, I hate to be the last one to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Going back to Kisner, impact, his hands are much higher than they were at address. Is that because of the bowing of the shaft? Look where his hands are here.
It's a good question, Larry. And that's the way all players are going to be, Larry. So you're talking about this angle here. Hold on.
Right.
There's about right.
Yeah, the hands are going to be 3 degrees higher because of the droop of the shafts.
And this is going to be the case with all players, Larry, except for somebody like Bryson, who starts with the golf club in line with the arms. And this is the argument for a single plane swing here, because at impact, the shaft wants to line up with the arms.
Well, here, draw that line again, Darren, if you don't mind.
You don't like
And
that line?
start it right from the hands, right through the grip, and go straight, so it'll show the bow.
Straight through the grip and go which way?
Keep going straight, but no, it's a little higher. A little higher. There you go. That's where that shaft. See, the rest is if it's bowing down, but that's where it actually is.
Exactly. So that's why you have the difference between the two, and this is what I'm talking about. Look, Kisner being the closest of being on plane, back and through. That's as close as you're going to get right there, because most players, I should say most, all players are going to be higher they are at impact than they are going back.
Yeah, and on that machine, the iron bar or whatever the modern descendant is, that's not as pronounced. And why is that?
It's 0. That's just because of the way that that golf club's being swung. It's the DeChambeau type of swing. It's that kind of Mo Norman type of motion, which is completely different, which is why there's such a great attraction to this, where you swing the golf club, it's the same length, you swing it up and down, and it's the same. Okay, but the problem with this is, in my brain at least, is you have to be what I call the Michael Phelps athlete, where not all of us can be Michael Phelps. And
Plus, Larry,
It'd be like playing down the middle.
What'd you say?
It'd be like trying to play down the middle all the time.
It's everybody has to play differently, Larry. You know, you got, in basketball, you got guards, you got centers, you got forwards. You're not going to have all guards on your team. Everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to be built, and they've got different personalities and characteristics that you'll swing the golf club different ways.
Plus, Larry, they're starting off with their hands higher from the start.
He is different lie angles too, right? We build golf clubs that are the same lie angle for a lot of players who've got bad backs. We call it pain-free golf. But it's not for everyone.
All right, great job, Darren, like always. And then we had a guest for who's our guest next week?
We actually, he's going the following week. It's Dr. Paul Shem.
Oh, Paul said, so he's going to be on not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after.
The Wednesday after. He's an expert in development with skill. So he's going to tell us how we can go from a novice golfer to an expert golfer.
Really?
Absolutely.
I thought that's what you guys did.
No. This guy, he's the man. He's the Tiger Woods of skill development. He's amazing. I can't believe he agreed to come on our webinar. This guy is the man.
Yeah, you see, we had you fooled the whole time, Larry.
Yep.
Good night, everybody. Appreciate you coming out. Remember, tell all your friends, will you? QuickFixGolf.com, 8 o'clock Wednesday night.
Good stuff, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Darren. Thanks, Bobby.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Bobby, thank you. I enjoyed it. Take care.
Thanks, Harry. So good. I'm glad you came on.
Hey, listen, Bobby, I'll give you a call tomorrow about something else, okay?
All right, partner. You got it.
Okay, bye-bye.